I think not. And this latest quantitative easing by or suggestion that the Fed will follow lending long and borrowing short. It's a classic move that used to happen in boom times, and the banks who did it saw their balance sheet improve because as rates declined, so their book looked great with long loans and short borrowings. But that doesn't work in these conditions. And I was fascinated in this last week to see that after Hugo Chavez of Venezuela repatriated the nation's gold, how it's starting to spread, the concept. Chavez did it because he knew he would be unpopular, but he also did it because he now has got the gold at home, which he can use as collateral should he wish to do so. However, Germany, can you believe, Germany and the German public are starting to worry, where is our gold? And if they find it's in the US Fed or the Bank of England, the people are saying, well, shouldn't we have this at home? Now, if they follow that path, you can be absolutely sure that a lot less wise and less wealthy nations will follow the same path. And the consequences of that are that the question mark above whether the Bank of England and the Fed really do have gold will be answered. And I cannot see it being in the interests of either the UK or the US to see foreign national gold going home. So I think we're in for a most interesting 2012, and certainly into a rising gold price market.
Yeah, I've seen that gold. It's in the basement of the Federal Reserve in New York City on Broad Street. There's 7,000 tons of it. They won't say who it belongs to. I always wondered, what's with the secrecy? Why won't they say what country's gold is which? And now it's making total sense as the situation unwinds and we hear about the leasing and all the other nefarious things that have taken place in this market. Now the secrecy begins to be understandable, that there's real reasons they don't want to say because the numbers aren't going to add up, is what it looks like to me.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right. In fact, the gold is unallocated, which means it's pooled. So it might contain German and Swiss and, well, not Swiss, but Italian and French. Who knows whose gold is there? And the Fed has the right, because it's unallocated, to lease it, to leverage it, to do whatever it will. And if it has done that, then that gold is not theirs, despite them putting it on their books as belonging to them, as belonging to the foreign nationals. Now, if it's repatriated, then that number of 7,000 tons will quickly dwindle. And suddenly the leases, can you imagine going to the Fed and saying, can I have my gold back? And they say, sorry, we've lent it to somebody.
Yeah, what gold? What gold is that? We don't have any gold. And the fact is that the amount of gold there has been gradually diminishing over the years because no country wants to say, no Western country, allied country wants to say, send us back all our gold right now. But they take a few hundred tons here, 50 tons there, and that's what's been going on, but it's not been talked about. So, like you said, we're really in for an interesting year where the inventory, the true inventory of gold around the world might very well come out and become general knowledge, which will be a whole new leap in global financial transparency, won't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I can see countries like Germany having a major sense of humor failure when they find that that there's not that much there. But it's going to be a bit like musical chairs. You know, the gold that is absent will be the gold of the last person to claim it.
It'll probably be the U.S. because that's just the way we work things here. But but yeah, it's a whole scheme unwinding. And then if that happens, if that comes to pass, and supposedly Venezuela has not gotten back all their gold, they've gotten about 50 tons back, and they aren't getting the rest. It's not being shipped, but that's an untold story that I'm trying to find out more about. But the fact is, when this whole thing unfolds, you could see wars over this because countries have gone to war for a lot less than having their gold, their crown jewels, stolen out from underneath their noses.
Absolutely, and you can imagine the ramifications. If the United States has the right to freeze Iranian gold deals and finances, then if this country or that country finds that its gold is not there, what's to stop them seizing American assets inside their country?
Yeah, there's a lot of Apple computers could be up for grabs. A lot of Apple stores.
Well, there is only one answer to that, and that is that in 1933, when gold was money, the only way they could bump up the money supply to get out of the Depression was to seize gold and then devalue the dollar against gold by 75%. Now, if there is a shortfall in gold in the vaults, then that remains one of the options they have in front of them. And it's therefore not beyond reason that that act of seizure should happen again.
Mm-hmm. So
it's a big worry because many people are holding gold in the belief that they're secure. And some of them are even holding it overseas in some very professional depositories. However, what they seem to have overlooked is that if the Fed should knock on their door and say, would you mind repatriating your gold? We know you've got it overseas, and we're making it a law that you do so. Well, then there goes their security. So I've actually constructed something along with colleagues that will protect against such, at least we believe it will give full protection against such seizures. And we're very shortly to launch it. It's two companies, one called Stockbridge Management Alliance, and the other is the Ultimate Gold Trust. And we've structured it in what we believe is a clever way so that when the attempt to seize that gold happens, citizens will be placed in a position where they still have the right to sell it and therefore avoid any particularly unpleasant attacks, but they will not have the right to repatriate it, but will remain the beneficial owners of it. So we believe we put in place sufficiently good blocks to prevent repatriation of gold. And therefore, people will be able to continue to hold gold under a confiscation order. And we think it's a bit revolutionary. But we'll be releasing details of that in the newsletter, www.goldforecaster.com, very shortly, hopefully in the next week. And anybody who's got an inquiry should send an email to that website, and we will send them the information quite happily.
Sounds pretty cool. I mean, in one of my past incarnations, I was an attorney doing commercial litigation, corporate litigation, and we would have debtors who had assets stashed overseas, and we knew where they were. And sometimes we would get these guys on contempt because the court would order them to repatriate, throw them in jail for a period of time for violating the court's order. But when push came to shove, if the debtor no longer was able to actually repatriate the asset, to bring it back, like it was an insurance contract or a trust of which under another country's law he had no power to do so, they had to let the guy go eventually. So I don't know if that part of the law is going to change or not, but if you are worried about stashing your assets overseas and you're worried about confiscation, and not so much confiscation, but being ordered to repatriate and then liquidate, then what Julian's talking about here could really help you effectively shield yourself from repatriation orders. So
absolutely, and I'm happy to say, Kerry, that this is the first time I've announced this particular story.
It's pretty exciting, Julian. After it's been out there for a while, we'll talk again because I want to get the details on it, want to do a little research. So if you're looking to protect your assets from potential government seizure or forced repatriation, this could be the option that you're looking for. Julian, thanks again for coming on. We'll talk to you in a month or so, and we're watching these markets with childlike fascination.
Good. Well, it's a pleasure to chat to you, and I look forward to chatting to you again.
All right. You be well.
Thank you.